Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and this is going to be the regular to-back or not-to-back crowdfunding, Kickstarter roundup, whatever it is. But before we jump into that, I need to ask you a favor. And this is something we've done before on the channel. Just be part of the fun, why not? Or just fast forward timestamps down below, because maybe this isn't fun for you. Maybe it's annoying and tedious, and you just want to hear me talk about Kickstarters, which is okay. I get it. Sometimes I'm just in it for the games as well. But if you do want to be part of the fun, well, something's going on at the moment, and it's something that's happened before, like I mentioned already, and that's going to be Quackalope. Quackalope decided, because he thought it'd be funny, granted I think it'd be funny too, Quackalope decided to, over Saturday when I'm offline, he put up a video, win $500 in board games. That's going to be over here. And the premise of the video is pretty simple. We're going to try to get people to subscribe to Board Game Co. to cross Quackalope in subs, because they're currently at 24.6, I'm 24.5. Now keep in mind, I was actually a few hundred behind a day ago, but he decided to do a hard push to get people to subscribe to the channel and then go ahead and quack on one of my videos. It's something he's done before. And then once I cross him in subs, once I go from 24.5 to 24.7, crossing him in subs, well, he's going to do a $500 giveaway. Which means it's time for me to do something too, because that's how this game works. And so, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be giving away up to, and the key word is up to, I'm going to be giving away up to $1,500 in assorted gift cards of basically $50 a pop. So it's going to be $50 a pop, up to $1,500. Now, how does this work? How does this work? Well, at a certain point, I'll probably cross him. At a certain point. Now, I don't know exactly when that point's going to be. But right now, he's at 24.6. For every 50 subs he gains before I cross him, I'm going to give away a $50 gift card to one winner. Different winners each time. So potentially up to, 30 different winners? So effectively, let's say I cross him at 24.9 subs. That's going to be 300 additional subs, and there'll be 6 winners. If I cross him when there's another 500 subs, there'll be another 10 winners. The more subs he has before I cross him, up to a maximum of 3,000 more, and I'll explain why in a second, we're going to give away a $50 gift card. Okay, with me so far? So that's basically just a whole bunch of small winners. Instead of one single large winner, I generally do one single large winner on the channel, but the problem with a single large winner is it's a nicer prize. Maybe you got a Terraforming Mars All-In, an ISIS Vanguard Pledge, all these different options on the table, but this time it's going to be a bunch of smaller winners instead. And the reason I'm choosing that 3,000 number is because this is the to-back or not-to-back video, which on a regular basis tends to get around 10,000 views every single week, my to-back or not-to-back Monday video. But more specifically, roughly 30% of you aren't currently subscribed to my channel, roughly 30%, which means there's a big portion of people that are watching my videos and yet aren't subscribed, and if they're not subscribed to me, they're probably not subscribed to Quackalope either. So not as a general rule, I just mean point is people aren't always surprised. I'm going to mess up my words here, it's okay, we're going to keep going with this, we're going to keep going. And so that's what's going on here. Basically, the goal for Quackalope's side is for me to cross his channel in subs. The goal for my side is for that number to be as high as possible before I do, because the higher it is, the more gift cards all around. So what you want to do is go ahead to this video, specifically this video over here, win $500 in board games. There'll be a link down below, but specifically to this video over here, you want to go ahead and watch it, and then subscribe to his channel, and then make sure to post something about his beard. His magnificent beard that started off all scraggly-like and has slowly but surely been developing into a full-grown adult beard. Whatever the word, comment, whatever it is, as long as it has the word beard in it, then you are going to be one of the people eligible for those $50 gift card drawings. And I'll throw links, I'll throw details about this drawing thing in the description down below for whatever. No duplicate winners, all that stuff or whatever. All the details will be down below. But effectively, multiple winners, up to $1,500 in prizes, as long as you comment and subscribe and talk about Quackalope's magnificent, wonderful, ever so developing beard. And now, if you hopped over to here from, the skipping the timestamps part because you just want to talk about Kickstarters, I get it, I do. And we're going to start off talking about the Game Toppers 3.0. Again, as usual, in these videos, we're going to do a few different things. We're going to talk about board game adjacent, followed by things that aren't funding, followed by updates to things we've already talked about, followed by all the new stuff. And we'll see how long this video goes, but ultimately, starting off the bat, we have Board Game Toppers, and Game Toppers 3.0, this is going to be their next Kickstarter. I don't know how many have they had. This looks like their third one. This is going to be Game Toppers LLC. They put out basically Game Toppers for game tables. These aren't board game tables, but they're board game table adjacent. So I guess it's board game adjacent if you really want to get technical on me. But overall, These are going to be things that allow you to, first of all, travel with them, which is a huge boon, but allow you to effectively have a game table at an affordable price, but kind of manipulating and taking advantage of your current table situation. So they have these game toppers. They go over specific tables you already have. A common example, let's scroll down to one of the more common examples they have, is going to be, I believe, the Watson. No, it's going to be the Holmes. The Holmes over here is designed to go over your standard folding table that's, 30 by 72 inches long. It's a standard folding table. You'll put the Holmes over the folding table, and ta-da, instant game table. If you have a folding table and a folding game table, then you can go ahead and take them to a convention or do whatever you want to do. Head on over to a friend's house and set up your gaming table. So effectively, the Game Toppers series is a modular system and allowing you to be flexible. And also, modular is a key thing as well. Sometimes you can have different game toppers with, depending on the rail system you choose to buy into, you can actually have a game table for this table as well as a game table for this table. Though these are not to measure. My point is it can expand or contract to fit different table sizes as you have them. And this Kickstarter, for the first time, they're doing something truly innovative, absolutely insane, something never ever seen before. They're giving legs on tables, which, effectively what they're doing is, in case you want the Game Topper system, but you don't necessarily have your own Game Topper table, or perhaps sometimes you do and sometimes you don't, well, now you can go ahead and for $129 buy a bunch of legs for a table. It's amazing how innovative things are in life. Let's think about razors. Razors, well, it's like, now we have 2 razor blades, and oh my gosh, next year we have 3 razor blades. This is the most innovative razor ever, and wow, we have figured out how to make our razors better. Do you know how? 4 razor blades. And then you head on over to Shark Tank and they're like, we have a 1 razor blade. It's the most prime and innovative thing. It's basically marketing. It's all marketing and it's bizarre. But here, my point is, we have legs on tables as an innovative add-on, which, I'm making fun of it, but genuinely kind of works. But that is neither here nor there. That's going to be Game Toppers. And lastly, before we head on, we have a tabletop surface area. So if you want to convert your game table into a dining area, they do have that option as well as they have mats. They're known for having amazing mats as well. I've never seen them myself, but I've heard people talk about them, from designs to playing to different options. If you want a various mat for your surface area or whatnot, you can check that out. And that's going to be Game Toppers. Moving on from there, we have the Shadow Planet, the board game. This is going to be one of, I believe, 3 that are not funding yet, although with 10 days to go and $4,000 to cross, they're going to fund. I'm not worried about that at all. And the Shadow Planet board game is going to be a game that it's based off a webcomic to a degree. We actually just talked about it on the Quacklo podcast. We had Devin Norris, our mysterious guest who took Jesse's place, brought it to the table, a non-funding Kickstarter, the nerve, absolutely unbelievable. But effectively, Shadow Planet is going to be a game that it's like we said already, 687, what's happening? What's happening? What's the, whoa. That's weird. We got a stray Devin over here. Stray Devin. Back, Devin. Back. Anyway, so we have Shadow Planet, which is going to be a game that is going to be using the art and the game, the world overview from the graphic novel, but it's a game where every player has variable goals, and in those variable goals, you might have players who are trying to properly get off the planet, to hurt others, to get off the planet and self-destruct things, have different goals going on, and you're going to control different people within the game, but you don't actually control your own individual user. Rather, you basically have shared control over these people before, the final round where you kind of finally take control of a meeple or character on the board, which means as you take your turn and kind of give a character cards or strengths or abilities that will help them out, someone else might take their turn right after you and proceed to do the exact same thing, taking advantage of the strengths you just gave that character. It's a kind of a combined shared system. Think of games like Imperial or whatnot, where you have this aspect of you're controlling armies, but the armies have their own independent aspects, so multiple players can take advantage of the strengths or weaknesses that develop across the game state. So that's going to be effectively the Shadow Planet overall. And this one overall, to a degree, in terms of, there's another thing I was going to say about this one, I can't remember what it was. I think it was price point wise. I think that one of the reasons this might be struggling and not, it will fund, don't get me wrong, but it won't necessarily make it all the way. It won't be as well as it could do. And this is from the people who brought you Waste Knights, which did significantly better on Kickstarter, just landed, hearing lots of good feedback and lots of good reviews about Waste Knights. Check out One Stop Co-op Shop, where he basically said this is the game Fallout Wastelands should have been, so that's positive praise indeed, and I'll be paying attention to Waste Knights because of it. But back to Shadow Planet. Shadow Planet, in terms of the Kickstarter exclusive aspect, the price point compared to retail is not that great, and when you're getting as far as exclusives, you're getting these 6 different alternate art cards, and then potentially the expansions as well might introduce other things. Potentially the stretch goals might introduce other things, but you also have this Kickstarter exclusive module. So you're getting 6 alternate art cards, 1 small module. That's all you're getting for getting on Kickstarter, which might be enough of a reason for people to be paying attention to retail. But also factor in that with 638 backers, there is no guarantee that this will have high retail availability. So just factor that into your pros cons when deciding whether you are interested in this one or not. Moving on from there, we have, nope, that's not Waste Night Second Edition. This is just me popping this up because I meant to show you this page when I talked about Waste Nights. Moving on from there, we have PLETRIX Roll and Write game. This is another one that's not funding, but another one that will fund with 14 days to go and less than $1,000, or actually just about $1,000 to cross before it funds. 219 backers. This is going to be a roll and write with a ton of expansions to the table. Now I recommend watching Rado's overview and final thoughts and all that. Who goes through the game. You can get a good feel for how this game plays, all that stuff. But effectively, it's a roll and write engine. It's a roll and write system with a ton of modular expansions to add more stuff. We have additional dice, forbidden dice, twister dice. We have different maps, rainbow setting, pipelines, the mega setting. We have stretch goals, which introduce more things as well. Here we have the stretch goals. We have a new setting, the express, the PLETRIX 550, the interaction dice. So tons and tons of things being added to this game. As far as the pledge levels over here, we have a copy of PLETRIX, which is going to be the Kickstarter exclusive edition of the game. Which additionally, if you tag a bunch of people, you get your own bag of dice. They have this aspect where in each pledge level they have this, and you can get this extra thing if you tag people, which works, by the way. Functionally speaking, for marketing, it works, but it also can potentially be a bit off-putting to people to be like in their. I would have done it in the description of the page somewhere. By putting into every single pledge level, even those who are not going to partake in this will be slightly irritated that they're losing out or being incentivized to push or tag people. But that's neither here nor there. That's going to be for 20 euros. We have that option, and then for 49 euros we have the expansion box. We give you all the expansions for the game. And like I said already, this game looks interesting. It looks like it's a roll and write game. I love roll and writes in general. I basically am willing to try any single roll and write, and then I'll keep some, get rid of others. But effectively, this one is fairly on the expensive side, coming in at $60 for all the expansions. There's a lot of content, but it's a lot of money to ask people to spend on a roll and write that doesn't have mass buy-in from the general population of people playing games, reviewing games, talking about games, all of that. We have Rado, we have people talking about the game, but it doesn't have that mass audience adoption yet, which makes $60 for a roll and write an expensive ask. I mean, we had Railroad Inc., which asked people to pay a lot more, but they did so after they had already landed, after tons of people love Railroad Inc., and after tons of people are willing to basically pay a lot more money than they should for a box of expansions and add-on content for Railroad Inc. But that's PLETRIX. If you're interested, go ahead and check it out. It does look intriguing. I'm pulled in myself. I don't know if I'm backing it yet. Again, $60 for an untested roll and write is a lot of money for me to spend, but it does look cool, and it seems simple enough to understand how to play that I feel I would like it. But hey, we will find out. Moving on from there, we have Save Patient Zero, a game that I did play and isn't funding yet. And this one I'm intrigued. I don't know if it's a lack of general, general audience availability or whatnot, or people having signed up for the Kickstarter launch page or whatever it is. I don't know what marketing did or didn't go on here, or what it is about the game, why we only have 133 backers. I did see a lot of content creators covering the game, and most of them seem to enjoy it. I can tell you for myself, I very much enjoyed this game. It's 100% a logic puzzle. That's all it is. It is a logic puzzle that you could play solo. You could have facing off with two different teams against each other, but ultimately it just comes down to trying to min-max your way to logically deducing what's going on. Now, for me, that's excellent because I like logic puzzles. I always have. I've always enjoyed those. If Harry is taller than Sally, and Sally has 3 brothers, and the person who has 2 siblings but not 1 brother also goes to the store to buys milk, and then people who like cookies but not milk have 4 older siblings, then who is taller than Meg? I love those kinds of logical deductions when you get fed clue after clue after clue, and you have to deduce your way to an endpoint, and turning into a board game, which is where I like spending a lot of my time, both socially and just because I like board games. To me, that's an absolute win. So I'm very interested in Save Patient Zero. I'm very interested in the various content or the additional stuff they will be adding to stretch goals. They have other tools planned. Hopefully it does fund. 17 days to go. I think it will cross the finish line, but as far as how much extra content there will be, and will it hit that 30,000 euro that they need, or $30,000? I can't remember if it's euro or dollars, but they had a pledge, they had a stretch goal. Let's see if we can find it here. The stretch goal, 30,000 euro, before we get an app for the game, which I'm very much against apps in general, but in this game, the app would remove the necessity for a moderator, so I actually 100% want an app for this game. But that's going to be that. In terms of pledge levels over here, this is where I do have to kind of recommend the smaller pledge level, if at all. I can't speak for a long-term value. We'll get into that in a second, but effectively, we have a few different pledge levels. We have for $43, you have the standard edition of the game, and then for $49, you have the Bandito version of the game, which is going to give you a few extras. What are those extras you're paying for to get, $14 for? Well, for me, it's not worth it personally, but it might be for you. Effectively, you're going to be getting, if I can find it over here, you're going to be getting the following. You're going to be getting the deluxe custom sleeve, which granted is better box artwork. I prefer this for sure. You're going to be getting 2 laminated worksheets. So instead of being a written pad of paper where you slowly peel them off, you have a laminated sheet that you can use these erasable pens for and then cross off as you go, which is nice. It's a nice upgrade. I just don't know if I care enough. I'm fine with written sheets and I'm fine with laminated sheets. They're both useful to me, and unless I'm playing a game hundreds of times, I won't go through that written pad anyway. And then we have a paper microscope, a folderscope effectively. So for $14, you're getting these extra things. I think they'll be worth it to some people. For myself personally, they're probably not worth it. I'd probably stick with the standard edition of the game. Moving on, we have Marvel United X-Men. This is going to be the update part because I talked about this last week. Now I will say, next Sunday, basically, you know, what is it? I don't know, 7 days. Well, you're watching this Monday, so 6 days from now. 6 days from now, Monday the... Let me check my calendar over here. Sunday the 2nd, you can kind of see it on screen. Sunday the 2nd, May 2nd is going to be when I am doing a full coverage of everything else Marvel United X-Men. They have released enough stuff in this campaign and been interesting enough in what they've released and what they've done that I feel it's worth doing another video, which I generally do for Command games. I do have an annoyingly weak spot for Command games. Don't love all of them. Bloodborne All In went away after one play, so I definitely don't love all of them, but I do love many of them, and Marvel United is a game that I really enjoy, and I'm excited about the things that they are bringing to the table in Marvel United X-Men. So expect a full video next Sunday covering all the updates, and then of course on Monday they'll probably drop the all-in pledge, because why not? That's just how it works. But in any case, going on from there, what do we have? Brief updates, not going to be super in detail. Marvel United X-Men, for those who don't know, is going to be a cooperative game although with this campaign, they have a variety of game modes. They have a one versus many versus the villain. They've also introduced a new team mode, 2 teams going head to head, trying to fight off and face the villain and win. And along the way, you can get in each other's way, including hurting each other, which is, I mean, thematically it's sound, but it feels annoying to have 2 teams of heroes attacking each other. My wife's least favorite movie in the Marvel universe is going to be Civil War. She really didn't like it when the 2 teams of people she likes are facing off against each other. I mean, honestly, I'm with Captain America on this one, not with Iron Man. I can't believe that all of a sudden, across a whole genre of movies, we have Iron Man being like the crazy one who refuses to listen to the law, and then Captain America, who's the civil servant and all that. And then in those movies, they completely reverse their total roles. Honestly, I recommend watching Pitch Meeting with the Pitch Meeting movie for Civil War. Really solidly well done. And if you haven't been exposed to the Pitch Meeting series of YouTube videos before, I'll throw a link down below. But you're welcome, and genuinely, if you haven't seen them before, you're welcome. Enjoy them. You're going to be off to this long rabbit hole of hundreds of videos. Please still come back and watch my videos. That'd be sad if you stopped watching my videos because you watched another video series that I recommended instead. It'd be sad. But anyways, back to this. So, Marvel United, back to that. Basically, so they have a few expansions going on so far. We have the Mutant Pledge, all of that. Again, I'm going to do a full deep dive on this Sunday, so right now it's just going to be me covering the new stuff. We have the Apocalypse Pledge, nothing new there. We have lots of new stretch goals. All great stuff there. But then in terms of optional buys, they have, first of all, they have this. They have the blue team versus the gold team. That's going to be this aspect of 2 teams facing off one another. You don't need the specific characters in these teams. It's just the way they're giving you the content. You have blue versus gold. Buy both these expansions. Please buy both these expansions. And then you can play against each other, even though you only need one of them to really play against each other anyway. So you only need one of these, by the way, to play against one another. But you probably get both anyway, because like me, and you'll get the all-in pledge, because you don't need more Marvel Chibis, but you do want more Marvel Chibis. Then we have First Class. First Class is going to give you all this stuff, as well as the training room. I don't remember exactly what First Class did. I went over it before, but I forgot now. Then we have the Phoenix 5. The Phoenix 5 is going to turn a bunch of your beloved characters into villains, or at least some beloved characters, because some of them you may not care about at all. I don't know. I always enjoyed Cyborg over here, especially if you watch Deadpool. I mean, he's just so much fun. Not Cyborg. His name's not Cyborg. His name is something else. I don't remember his name, but the big guy. It's not Magenta, I can tell you that much. Then that's going to be First Class and Phoenix 5. And then we have X-Men the Playmat. X-Men the Playmat is going to give you a double-sided playmat, and I actually want, now I'll do it next time, but I'll go to the link of the actual pop-up next time. But effectively, the playmat over here is giving you 2 different ways to play. So for all those like myself who bought the previous playmat, you're welcome. Your old playmat is not good anymore. I mean, it's still good, but it's not as good anymore, because this double-sided playmat is going to give you the full circular way of playing the game, but it also switches the pattern. So if you have like 2 people sitting side by side, you now have the basic, a better visibility of how the game situation would work for you. So they're effectively giving you 2 playmat settings or adjustments in one for those who use the playmat. I'm not complaining about my playmat. I'm not bitter at all. I'm genuinely not bitter at all, because I haven't actually used my playmat in any of my games. It looks wonderful, very large on the table, which means I definitely will not be getting this new playmat, because why? Fine, I'll get this playmat too. Okay, moving on from there, we have Monster Hunter World, the board game, the first of the new campaigns. Now, granted, I did do a dedicated video on Monster Hunter World, the board game, but that wasn't covered in any Kickstarter roundup, and the way it works is that still counts as a new campaign. That is neither here nor there, immaterial. We're going to go to Monster Hunter World, the board game, where we talked about this already. This is over $3 million so far. Now, this one is not doing as well. I looked up the numbers. I was curious about this one. Dark Souls, like, really knocked it out of the park with, like, just shy of 4 million euros. And I think this one is, 4 million pounds, my bad. And this is just over 2 million pounds. By the time we cross over, maybe it'll hit 3 million. So I'm curious, because I'm just ignorant in the sense Is Dark Souls that much more of a popular franchise than Monster Hunter World in terms of the video game universe? Is that what it is? Or alternatively, did Dark Souls just have tons more add-ons? I probably should have checked the page. I could have looked at myself. Or alternatively, are people just getting less enamored with either Steamforged games or general Kickstarter budgets in general? Or is the campaign shorter? Maybe any and all of the above could combine. Don't get me wrong, this is a smashing success. I think this makes Monster Hunter World Steamforged Games' second most popular board game on Kickstarter so far, just lower than Dark Souls, which I just found interesting. Doesn't mean anything, I'm just curious. I like data, I like questions, I like answers. I also like Marvel United and their playmat, or at least their original playmat, before they switched to that new double-sided playmat that I totally will not get. I don't talk fast at all. Moving on to Monster Hunter World, the board game. As I said, 5 days left to go. 4 days by the time you're watching this, or if you're watching this next week, it already ended. I'm sorry, why are you watching this video next week? This is a very timely, specific, week-long video. I put it out every single Monday. I have no idea you're watching it 7-8 days from now. It doesn't even matter at this point. Just go ahead and watch next week's video. I probably put up another video. I'm losing sight of everything over here. Monster Hunter World, the board game. Hey, Devin, don't laugh. Don't laugh. Devin's laughing in the background. Monster Hunter World, the board game, is going to have a few different options over here. They don't have much new since I've covered this game. Effectively, this is going to be giving you a boss hunter game. Now, for what it's worth, I do recommend watching a bunch of content about the game. In fact, I should probably just head on over to YouTube and type in Monster Hunter World. Let's go ahead and do that. Just show you what pops up over here. Monster Hunter World. Let's go ahead and do this on the spot. Monster Hunter World board game. Okay, so there's a bunch of videos I do recommend watching. I have a review of the board game over here. Quacklope has it before you back over there. We have, their own playthrough over there. I have the playthrough with them. I have Monster Hunter World Should You Back It, which I covered last week, because King of Average has a review of the game Monster Hunter World over here. And then additionally, we have, where is it? Over here. Play This, Not That. Myself and Jeremy Howard teamed up for an hour-long conversation about what we preferred about each of these systems and why. I recommend watching all of those, especially if you're someone who is choosing between Primal and Monster Hunter World. Then make sure to check out the Primal versus Monster Hunter World. That's a very apt and descriptive title for someone who's looking for those two comparisons. Now, I believe King of Average did another one as well, by the way. I'd have to find it over here, but I can't find it exactly where it is. But King of Average did do 2 videos. He did both a Monster Hunter World review and a Monster Hunter World face-off, so check that out as well, just in terms of getting all the different opinions on the table. But my short notes on Monster Hunter World is, just to spoil the other video, is I love this game. I had a ton of fun playing it. I'm looking forward to the all-in. I'm getting the all-in of this game because there's the amount of monsters, the amount of content. I really enjoy the system. Now, there are aspects of it that I did want it to be a better game for me, personally speaking. You can watch my review for that, but while I love this game, I do personally prefer Primal more. It's just they're both different systems. Monster Hunter World is far more accessible. Primal gives me more tactical depth in terms of what I'm doing. Again, both solid systems, both solid. Like I guess to a certain degree, I'm happy they feel very different because that means I have space for both of them in my collection. Not physical space, but mental and playthrough space. But as far as the game itself, as far as whether to back it or not to back it, like I said, a solid monster hunting experience. I haven't played much of Steamforged other games before. I know they have a spotty track record with things like Dark Souls, with things like Horizon Zero Dawn. I have not played them. I cannot comment on those games. I will say Monster Hunter World is enjoyable. And I know Jeremy Howard as well, who's in the same exact boat as me. We've both heard lots of negative things. We both walked in very wary, and we both played this and we're like, solid game. Things we want to change for ourselves, but solid game, lots of fun. Past that, as far as the pledge levels, for 100, let's go to the lowest pledge level. $71 is going to get you the entry-level pledge. That doesn't give you any of the stretch goals. That said, these stretch goals or daily reveals don't really matter significantly here. I'm not opposed to them, but if they never showed up, it wouldn't really bother me, which is one of my, I guess, sad things about the campaign. I would have loved to see stretch goal after content after unlock, just because I like that Kickstarter journey. I like that aspect of seeing all the fun things unlocked. Doesn't mean that the game's not worth it anyways. I just like the progression. I like feeling motivated to jump back into the campaign. Ooh, what's new in this campaign? What thing do we unlock? What do we see? Where are we? I like that journey, and when campaigns do daily reveals, especially daily reveals with things that for me personally are less interesting, it just takes away from the journey. Doesn't take away from the final game, doesn't take away from any of that. It takes away from the Kickstarter journey and experience. For myself, this is all personally based. So that's me the entry level pledge, $71. For $142, you can get the core pledge. This is going to give you both. I think I skipped a pledge. No, I didn't. $140, you get the core pledge. You can get both the Ancient Forest and Wildspire Waste sets, as well as all the Kickstarter exclusives, including Kula Yaku, all login bonuses. Login bonuses are just the daily reveals. And then for $293, you get the all-in pledge, giving you everything, including all the gigantic cool monsters. I mean, look at this. Look at this monster over here. That is a beautiful monster over there. We have the miniatures over here, and with the daily reveals are going to give you basically miniature variants to a degree. We'll cover all that. And we have just tons of just monsters, miniatures. There's going to be 14 different heroes from I'm not mistaken, and I think 11 different monsters. I think it was 11, I could be wrong, but somewhere around 11 different monsters across everything. Some of them being ridiculously large, all of them coming with different tiers of how many different times and ways. Like some of them you can fight twice or 2 or 3 times, some of them you can fight up to 4 times, whatever it is. So the monsters have different degrees of escalation in how they play out. I don't think the escalation drastically changes them, but it gives you different stats, different armor, potentially different abilities to play in the monsters. And just again, tons of miniatures. Miniatures are going to be great. I can tell you that the prototype miniatures are already great, and Steamforged Games, like they posted up over here, they show that little testimonial, like I said in the video, they generally, where is it over here? They had it somewhere. Over here. Steamforged Games has always done incredibly well with their miniatures. Now, Resident Evil might be an exception, but with that one exception, Steamforged Games has done incredibly well with the miniatures from what I've seen. Past that, in terms of content, so we have all this extra stuff. We have these gigantic bosses, which is going to be fun to play with. I mean, I would have a lot of fun on that board with these gigantic over-the-top monsters as you move your miniatures around, as you slowly ping away at the monster, filling up your stamina row, clearing your stamina row, combining your abilities in different ways, and upgrading your character across different campaigns. Lots of fun stuff happening in this game. Past that, we get to the giant monster set. So this is going to be the all-in, all these expansions. You're going to get these ridiculously over-the-top dragons and monsters and whatever they are, because, I mean, look at this guy. Look at the height of this thing. Like I said already in the last video, this is going to give you your Joan of Arc dragon a run for your money, and I like ridiculously over-the-top miniatures, except, surprising for a Come On fanboy, I never really cared about that Cthulhu over-the-top miniature. Perhaps because I just find Cthulhu not to be a particularly fun thing to put on my shelf. I just don't find it visually appealing. I like the game. I don't love the mythos. I'd rather a good dragon any day of the week, and this is certainly a good dragon, or at least I like it. But past that, and there's going to be also in the all-in, you're also going to get 6 more hunters in case you are missing any of those, and that's effectively going to be Steamforged Games. Short version of Should You Back It is Steamforged Games is running their campaign slightly differently than they have in their past, with the lack of stretch goals that they have all over the place. That makes determining the value here a little harder compared to the potential retail content they'll have. They do have Kickstarter exclusive content in here, which does make me believe that even if you back all in, I think you will have no problem getting your money back on that pledge. There are enough people who will want this stuff. There are enough people who will want your Kickstarter exclusives. I believe you'll be able to get your money back no problem. More than that, I'm not confident. I'm not confident you'll be able to sell it for $100 more, especially depending on the retail availability of everything else here. If someone else can go and pick up all the stuff at retail for, let's just make up numbers, $200, and then they're left wanting your exclusive content for another $100, will they buy your all-in pledge off you? Will they find someone who's breaking and splitting it off? So again, I'm not confident just how much it'll hold this value, but I do believe you should have no problem getting your $293 back if you go ahead and back it at that pledge level. And that's effectively going to be Steamforged Games and Monster Hunter World. Moving on from there, we have It's a Wonderful World. This is the first of the completely new Kickstarters. Haven't covered it all so far. A whole batch of stuff went up on April 20th. Yeah, that's the one. April 20th last week. And so It's a Wonderful Kingdom is going to be one of them. This is going to be the effectively the 7 Wonders duel to 7 Wonders. The same way we had It's a Wonderful World, we now have It's a Wonderful Kingdom, which is a 2-player version of that. Now, I think potentially the name-wise, they might be doing themselves a disservice, because 7 Wonders versus 7 Wonders duel, you can immediately jump to that's a 2-player version. It's a Wonderful World versus It's a Wonderful Kingdom. I don't know if people will make that connection. Now, I know it. You might know it already. Lots of people who are involved in the space will know it. But there will be lots of people who pick up It's a Wonderful Kingdom and not realizing off the bat that it's a 2-player version of It's a Wonderful World. So I think to a certain extent, some form of branding might do them a better service in terms of people who don't know what they're getting themselves into. That's a side tangent to the fact that It's a Wonderful Kingdom is a game that I actually am pretty sure I'm backing this one, and we'll get into that. But I say pretty sure from a surprise stance because It's a Wonderful World is a game that I enjoyed. I did a Play This Not That with It's a Wonderful World vs. 7 Wonders a long time ago, and while I do enjoy It's a Wonderful World, at the end of the day, it's one that I didn't continuously pull out after having it. I enjoyed it, I liked it, and then eventually I got rid of it because I just didn't pull it out for a variety of small nitpicks as to why I didn't enjoy it as much as 7 Wonders or other drafting games. And It's a Wonderful Kingdom I think I'll enjoy more. First of all, let me just get us to a side point here. This is just me focusing on the art. So the art in this game is amazing. Now, for myself, let me see if I can find over here. Let's just find some art. Lots of art. I'm scrolling past, but I'm trying to find a specific picture. So if you look at the art, let's say the art over here, okay? To me, this looks amazing, to the point that I looked up the artist of the original It's a Wonderful World, and I was surprised it was the same artist. And when I looked at it, here's a good screenshot over here. Here's a good shot of the images from It's a Wonderful World. To me, this is the same artist, and when I look at it, I can kind of see it. I just think that his particular art style does such a better job in a medieval universe. Meaning, not to critique this art. This art's gorgeous. But I think something about just the thematic pull of the universe, his setting, his style lends itself so well to this art style, to this universe, to this theme and setting. Because again, same artist, I can see the same stylings, but it just, I am so much more pulled in by the medieval cards here. I mean, if you scroll down even more, you can just see more and more cards. They all look amazing over here, versus It's a Wonderful World. I always enjoyed it, but it didn't pull me in such a striking fashion. Again, just a curiosity thing over there. But past the art, because art alone and miniatures alone are not enough of a reason to be pulled in, I'm just been pulled in by the gameplay. I recommend watching Rado's playthrough and final thoughts. Overall, they did enough things differently over here that I believe it might be a tighter, faster, different engine than It's a Wonderful Kingdom, than It's a Wonderful World, giving me more reason to keep this one in my collection. Again, keep in mind, It's a Wonderful World is a well-rated, well-loved game, and for myself, I liked it, had some small nitpicks. I think It's a Wonderful Kingdom will solve those nitpicks for me, or potentially make it a better two-player experience, and perhaps not. And that brings us to the part where, for context, because I've been talking about this very extensively without talking about the game, but they're effectively drafting games where you have this resource aspect where you, every round you want to take your cards, and some cards you want to get rid of to generate their own resources right now, to effectively recycle those cards to help you build things now, and then the rest of the cards you're trying to build to contribute to your engine. From there you have an engine row where resources are generated in a sequence that is done in a way that I haven't seen other games really do. So you can generate resources, build cards, then use those to generate more resources in this sequence. You're kind of timing your sequence as well as drafting cards, giving you an interesting double layer of decisions and managing your strategic choices in this game. Combine that with some additional modules and expansions in this game, such as, not the Treasure Treasure. We have different things. We have the Menace module, the Advisor module, and then the Quest module. 3 different modules that can be adding to your pledge, to your Legends pledge over there. As far as exclusivity, they basically said 2 things. First of all, the Wonderful Kingdom Legends box is unlikely to be available past the Kickstarter, and then they said the stretch goals, of which there aren't a lot, but they said the stretch goals are going to as well likely be Kickstarter exclusive. They are not guaranteeing it, to be very clear. They said they want to keep their options open, but they are likely to be Kickstarter exclusive. So, risk back it or not at your own will. And where are the stretch goals? We must have passed them. So over here are going to be the stretch goals. So these are all the things that are likely to be exclusive to the campaign. We have the funding goal. We have the Grand Bazaar. We have basically some extra cards, some thicker cards. This is likely going to be across the board. We have the Sif and Menace card. We have the Pestilent Lord, the Recruiters, the new component, all the extra component upgrades as opposed to the component extras as opposed to the component upgrades are likely to be Kickstarter exclusive, but again, not a guarantee, which basically means they're following their trend that they set in It's a Wonderful World, as well as It's in a Wonderful World Ascension, I think it was called. The other one they did, the expansion. But effectively that trend of having a game that is mostly similar to the base game you have, but with just enough extras that you do have a little extra content, a little extra stuff in your Kickstarter. As far as value, their games have generally done a decent job holding the value on the secondhand market. In terms of, if you back this game, it's going to run you, for $61, $37 for the base game, and then $61 for the all-in, all the expansions, modules, and all of that. Their games on the secondhand market have generally done a decent job holding their value. It's hard to tell for certain because there's so much retail content for their game that the listings on these markets are mostly made up of retail, but you can certainly find plenty of people who are able to sell their pledges, their all-in pledges for It's a Wonderful World and for It's a Wonderful World Ascension, who are able to sell their entire pledge for more than what they paid for it. That is the benefit of having a well-liked game and enough exclusivity, enough people who aren't selling it, who want those extra 15 cards or want those extra 30, whatever it is, because they want to have the fully fleshed out experience of the game that they love. So overall, you're not making a lot of money in this game, don't get me wrong, but in terms of if you find that this game is not for you, I would argue it's a fairly safe back, all things considered, in terms of that. And that effectively is going to be It's a Wonderful World. Moving on from there, we have One Card Wonder. One Card Wonder is brought to you by what's it called? 8 Games, I think it is? Yeah, 8 Games, which is like Advanced Primate Entertainment or something like that. It's, basically games, but effectively 8 Games brings you ahead. They have a lot of games. They have like 14 games in the past. Let's go ahead and take a look at them. Anything from, I've covered some of their games. We have, Island Siege, we have the Stygian Society, we have Rice Dice, MOA, Spirits of the Rice Paddy, Dinosaur Rush, Roar, the Monster Building game, Rolling Freight. Oh wow, Rolling Freight was them. Nice. But effectively, yeah, they have a lot of games under the belt. One Card Wonder is going to be, like it sounds, a game where you build your One Card Wonder. 2 to 6 players are going to be head-to-head trying to manage the resources of the card row and to effectively build out their wonder. And every single turn you're going to be taking cards, and you're going to be taking some resources from the pile, while the rest of them go to a common pool, where eventually they can be taken to slowly but surely build out your resources. There's a lot of content creation around the game. From Covray had a video on it, One Card Wonder, a 1-minute tutorial. We have Covray's over here. We had the overview from, I always forget, Slicker Drip. We have Brooks. Lots of content around the game. Steph plays so many games, it's ridiculous. We have Monique and Naveen from Before You Play. doing a playthrough, a preview of the game, so if you want to check out, see how the game plays. But again, a lot of content around the game to see if it's a game for you. Overall, this is one that, just practically speaking, it will not hold its value. It might be the best and easiest chance for you to get it. The price point's not that high, but it will not hold its value. Just the nature of these smaller packages. The game's going to be $18 over here, and it's going to have $11 shipping on the low end to get the game. That puts you in at a $29 price point for a game that they put in the why should you back it, because you're saving almost a third off the price, off the retail price of the game, which means effectively the retail price is going to be roughly $25, which means you're saving, sure, $7 or whatever it is, but you're paying $11 to ship that game, and that's before we even talk about the fact that the retail price is likely to not be the actual sold online price. So you're probably paying nearly twice the price to get this now, as opposed to getting this later. The flip side of that, and there's no exclusive that I saw, nothing extra that I saw listed at all. The flip side of that is going to be that with 431 backers, this game is likely to have lower availability than you might want, and it may not have a wide retail distribution. So it falls into that category I've talked about before. It is unlikely to be one that holds its value, but it's also $29, and if you want it, this might be your best or only chance, unless it has enough of a retail release or availability. And that's going to be One Card Wonder. Which brings us to After the Empire. After the Empire by Gray Fox Games, which is going to be on GameFound. I love seeing games on GameFound again and again and again. And generally, GameFound has done a tremendous job of picking games that will do well, which is an important part, because obviously over time you need to have everything. That's the nature. You can't just pick games that do well, but that's over time. Initially though, for the platform to succeed, you want people to pay attention to it, which means you want it to have games and campaigns that do well. You don't want it to have, 2 campaigns that did well and then 50 campaigns that didn't fund. That doesn't lend itself to GameFound being a credible platform where everyone should be paying attention. And right now, with the campaigns GameFound has been running, with the time after time, the ones they have been launching, at this point, they're at a point where anything that launches on GameFound, people should be paying attention. They are going to do well. They are picking winners. That is a solid way to slowly but surely grow GameFound. I'm very impressed. I've said this before, but I continue to be impressed with how well Awakened Realms and GameFound are rolling out their service, and just much faster than I ever anticipated being done. We saw ISS Vanguard, and then again and again and again, winner after winner after winner. Good job for them. But past that, moving on to the actual campaign. After the Empire is going to be After the Empire is going to be a game that I already did a review for. In fact, it's over here. This Right For You, Wrong For You board game review with myself and Shira. This is the video where, to be eligible for Jesse, for Quackalope's $500 gift card, you have to head to this video, not any of the others, this video, and say Quack on this one. That will make you eligible for the $500 giveaway that he is doing on his channel. But effectively, After the Empire is one that we both loved very much. We both gave it a 4 out of 5. It's a solid game. I think expansions could easily turn it to a 5 out of 5 for me. Right now, my issue with it is, while I love this system, it just lacks a little bit of variability in terms of the feeling the games are game to game. They effectively feel the same. There's differences, don't get me wrong, but the game feels the same every single time I play it. Not a lot to mix up the feel of the experience. Past that, After the Empire is an incredibly well-rated game. People have been talking about it. People have been praising about it for a good reason, in my opinion. Everyone I know who has played it has really enjoyed it, has thought the challenge of what they're doing here, of watching your castle get torn down as you manage to try to build it up, as you build up the towers, as you upgrade your walls, as you gather more refugees and buildings to slowly but surely augment your engine. It has tableau building, it has fun, it has powers, it has abilities, it has watching things get torn down around you. There are so many aspects of what this game checks off in terms of how much fun it is and what it does well. So overall, the fact that people are seeking out and paying through the nose to get the Kickstarter copies of the game makes sense, which brings us to the value part of the conversation, because this, like I said already, is a reprint campaign. This is not going to be anything new past the solo expansion. So they have a solo expansion added on here, which gives you a way to play the game solo. But past that, they're not really doing a lot, which means they're ready to hit go as soon as the campaign is over and start sending you your pledges. But the original campaign, people who wanted the game, you are able to get basically more than what you paid for your game. It held its value just fine in the secondary market in terms of people who wanted to get their hands on those extras for the game. Which brings us to a good time to talk about what the extras are, because there are a few pledge levels over here. So these are going to be the main extras, where you're going to be never available in retail, but available on Kickstarter and GameFound, which leads to an interesting conversation, a bit of a side tangent if you are, you always are, but effectively, campaigns frequently say things like Kickstarter exclusive, right? That's a thing people have said. And then campaigns will come back on the next campaign and offer it again because it's still Kickstarter exclusive. But can a campaign say Kickstarter exclusive, then head on over to GameFound and sell the thing that was Kickstarter exclusive? Technically, that's a lie, right? Technically. That's not a lie that I particularly care about at all. It's a lie that I am totally fine with, but it's this interesting hypothetical conversation. So maybe campaigns should start tacking on crowdfunding exclusive. Maybe that's a new thing. But either way, That's neither here nor there. Going back to this, so what are the extras you have over here? You're going to be replacing all the cubes in the game with actual miniatures. So your mercenaries, your soldiers, the attacking soldiers, and the attacking archers are all replaced by miniatures instead. They're not the best miniatures, but they're still better than the tokens you have. They're solid, they do the job. Past that, the resources. All your wood, your stone, your whatever are all going to be upgraded in terms of upgraded resources. That is great in the game. We have upgraded wood pieces for food, for various tokens of the board. You have 8 exclusive cards, which those, honestly, I'm looking forward to those as well. So just a lot of extras for your retail copy is what's going to be differentiating that $99 deluxe pledge or noble pledge, whatever it is, from what you can buy on retail for, well, $80. And for the extra $20, I think it's well worth it, at least based on current pricing and availability. Although if you do find the retail version of the game for cheaper, like on sale or whatever, that does change the conversation. Past that, we have over here the Noble Pledge. The Noble Pledge is going to be giving you a few more things. It's going to be giving you extra, let me see over here, it's giving you, I don't know if this is over here. It might be giving you extra cards. I could be wrong with that. But it's giving you a larger box to fix the game tray system, as well as all these neoprene mats. Now, speaking for myself, I think the game tray system is near essential for the game. Essential is probably the wrong word, because I really enjoy my game without it. But I will say one of the things that is slightly annoying about After the Empire is it does have a longer setup and teardown time than your average game. Not the end of the world, but certainly longer than I would want. I absolutely want these game tray system, because this means I will play After the Empire more by having these game trays. The neoprene I don't particularly care about, but the good news is you don't have to get this all in pledge. You can break up how you get or what you get, so we'll go through that. That's going to be all the stuff going on over there. And everything else you see over here, it feels like a deluxeified copy already. These walls, everything that the game has, that feels like a deluxe game, which is why it's an $80 game. Even just the base retail version of the game feels premium. And this is going to be the exclusives, the exclusive, all that stuff over there. And then moving on from there, we're going to have the following. So that's going to be $149 to give you the all-in, basically everything there. That does not include the solo mode. So if you thought you're going to get the solo mode here, make sure to add it to your cart separately, because it's not going to be in this pledge over here. $99 gives you the Noble Pledge. That gives you the deluxeified version of After the Empire. And then for the retail version, if you want 3 retail copies of the game for $180, go ahead and do that. Moving on past that, if you already have the base game, what if you want the After the Empire upgrade kit? Well, that's good news for you. You have the After the Empire upgrade kit. Over here, we have the Captain of the Guard mini expansion. That's going to be the thing that was in the Fortress pledge that I didn't know what it was, but the Captain of the Guard mini expansion will be added there. We have the After the Empire solo mode for $10 if you want to play this game solo. I can totally see this game being enjoyable solo. For me, it would remove a big part of what I liked about the game, which is the fun and the energy of having everything fall down around you, to yourself and to your friends. So for someone who wants to play it solo, I think it is a good game that will accommodate solo easily. For those who are pulled in by the fun aspect, the half party game aspect of just watching things self-destruct around you, well, solo probably won't give you that as much, because watching your friend's castle fall down is always more fun than watching your own castle fall down. The neoprene mat for $40 over here. If you like neoprene, I love neoprene. I just hate the storage aspect of it, so not really much of a value for me. The board will do just fine, but over here, if you want that, the game trays component tray. So if you want that $20 game component tray, keep in mind this will not fit in the retail box for the game. So if you have if you have the Fortress pledge, if you have the deluxe version of the game, I think it does fit in that box. I could be wrong. Let me see. Just click on it. Let's see over here. It does not say over here, but I believe it will fit in the Kickstarter box. It will not fit in the retail box. I know that, though. The Captain of the Guard mini expansion. Then if you want more deluxeified cubes, these cubes, if you want just chunks of cubes for all your other games or just for this game or for retail, you can buy these in lots of 40. Now, I believe the food cubes in the game, there are 60. These are just the production batches, meaning if you buy the upgraded kit over here with whatever you need, that will get that. Keep in mind, this does not come with the food cubes. The food cubes, it has its own separate upgraded resource thing for food. If you specifically want these food cubes, which I can tell you I do, then you'll probably want to buy 2 batches of this, because 40 is going to be less than what you actually need. It might be all that you actually need for the gameplay, but it's less than what comes in the game otherwise. And then over here, you have, if you want a bunch of them instead, all together, and then the game trays component tray over here, which is going to give you the larger box, giving you the game trays plus the larger box if you need it as well. So that's going to be that, and that's only marginally more than, the game trays component tray over there. And that is going to be everything on After the Empire. Short version, I already touched upon it. Great game, a solid game. It manages to feel very different from most games on the market. The thing I would most compare it to is Galaxy Trucker, except without the real-time element. And in a game that I think overall I prefer After the Empire. For now, I certainly have After the Empire in my collection, and Galaxy Trucker is no longer there. Then again, I've played Galaxy Trucker hundreds of times, genuinely. Between the app and the board game, I've played it hundreds of times, and After the Empire, I've played like 6 times. So, obviously compare and contrast what's going on there. And that is going to be after. And then in terms of value, I think this will hold its value, potentially less so than the original campaign, because we have this reprint, which means people can now get their hands in it. That being said, unless they do another reprint campaign, which they might do if they have expansions down the road. But until that happens, there will still be people who find out about this game after the fact and want to get their hands on a copy of the Deluxe Pledge. So I think it will hold its value. I don't think you're making a lot of money in it, but if in terms of if it's not a game for you, I think you can get your $150 back on the secondary market, no problem. Moving on from there, we have Hidden Leaders. We're down to 2 campaigns left. 2 campaigns, not bad. 44 minutes in, 2 campaigns. We have Hidden Leaders. Hidden Leaders is a game that I am so thrilled to see how well it's doing. I mean, this is a good game, don't get me wrong, but I did not think it would do this well. I did not think it would pick up 4,000 backers and $100,000 because it is a lighter card game. Lighter card games generally do not do well on Kickstarter. Now, when I say lighter, don't let that scare you off. I'm talking about generally the component size, and yeah, I mean, it is a lighter game. It's a game where you're fighting over 4 different objectives of which of these factions do you want to win. So let's go ahead and scroll down. There's going to be this board over here, and then the merfolk win if the 2 factions are allied. The red and green teams are allied. Red wins if it gets too far ahead of green. Green wins if it gets too far ahead of red. And then black wins if it's just a giant bloody war with everyone all into this graveyard zone over here. So we have different scoring objectives, but then the problem is you don't know who's what, because I may have this leader over here, which I win if red or black wins. So you're fighting for these different goals and playing cards, and all these cards that manipulate the game state of trying to push you towards your win condition, potentially while trying to remain hidden as to what faction you are, because if others can deduce which faction you are, they can utilize you and your actions knowing what you will do in order to drive forward what they do. Because if I can rely on the fact that you're going for a red victory and I'm going for a black victory, then all I need to do is push up green, because I know full well that you're going to help push up red anyway, because that's what you're trying to do. So there's lots of things you can do in this game, but deducing who your opponent is, while not essential, will potentially give you a bit of an edge in playing the game. It has an aspect of strategic deduction, a thing that I've only personally seen in 3 games now, in Clans, in Veiled Fate by Ivy Studios, and then of Ivy Games, and then Hidden Leaders over here. Past that, the Kickstarter campaign is going to be giving you a bunch of Kickstarter extras in terms of this extra cards. So if we scroll down over here, we just keep scrolling. We have over here the quote for myself, as there's a video. I have a video playthrough with Shira as well on the channel. And then over here we have, we have hero card for the Kingslayer. We have just extra cards for the game, all this extra content. Now that's important because I did not see anything about what the price would be for this game. The actual Kickstarter price is going to be €20 or around $25 plus shipping to get the game. And shipping I think was around $9 if I'm not mistaken. Let's see if we could find it over here. Shipping is going to run you, let's see if we can find it. Yeah, shipping is going to run you $9 in the US, obviously potentially more as you go zone by zone, but effectively that's going to be a $34 price tag for this game, which as a game with this price, with this size and box size, I imagine you could get this game cheaper at retail. I don't know for sure, because I didn't see anything in the FAQ or in the comments about what the actual MSRP of this game would be, but I believe it will be cheaper at retail, and with 4,000 backers, I believe this will be going to retail no problem at all. I think this is going to be available, and you'll be able to get your hands in it. So the question becomes, what do you want to do in terms of these extra cards over here? So as far as so let's go cover those 2. So first of all, as far as personal preference or whatnot, obviously if you want those extra cards, the game is good. I recommend it. I am adding it to my collection. I enjoyed it. It's simultaneously light and yet not so light. Plays up to 6 players. It does a decent job of giving you fun powers and abilities and interplay and strategic deduction in the game that works really well. You can watch my full review for the full everything else. So it is a good game. As far as the should you back it, should you not, I'm skeptical that this will hold its value, to be fair. I just think that at $34 for the game on a lighter card game, unless the price point of this in retail is like $40, I just don't imagine your secondhand copy is likely to hold its value. I think you'll be able to buy it for $34 here, and then potentially $20 in miniature market without the like 10 or 15 extra cards. So I don't think it'll hold its value. I do think it's a good game. You can definitely sell it. I just don't think you'll be able to get your full $34 back in it. It is a smaller game in terms of the overall footprint it takes. But that said, it does come with Kickstarter exclusive extras, which if the game is well received enough, might make that change, because there's Kickstarter exclusive extras in the game, and that's going to be Hidden Leaders. And last game on the table today is going to be Florence. Florence by Brain Crack Games is going to be the 3rd game in the Ragusa, Venice, and Florence series. I believe those are the 3 games. I've played Ragusa, haven't played Venice, have not played Florence. Florence actually looks the most appealing of the 3. With 845 backers, $60,000 raised, 25 days to go, this one's doing pretty well so far. And Florence is a game of area control and time management, where you are placing your characters around the city, trying to not just take control of different areas in terms of area control, but trying to time your placement and your arrivals around the Medici moving around the city, because the Medici are going to go spot to spot, rewarding people are there in different ways. You can be bragging to different people about how notable you are, which will have a game impact as the Medici visit you, and the Medici will also end in a final location, and giving large chunks of points to the people who are there in what order and whatnot. You're going to be giving gifts to the Medici as well, trying to take control or benefit or influence 3 different Medici in this game as they go around the city, and you're doing all that while managing your clock. You have a limited number of actions in the game. Those actions are all going to go towards what you can do in the game, and so you want to try to manage how much time you have this round, what you're going to do, where you're going to give gifts, where you're going to place your people, what different aspects you're going to take to ultimately win in this time management, area control, optimization engine of a game. I do recommend watching the video over here. Again, I'm a huge fan of videos that tell you what the game plays like, and this video does an excellent job of both driving the thematic aspect of the game as well as then following straight into the actual how to play. In about 3 minutes, you will have a very good feel as to how to play the game. If you want to watch something that does an amazing job in 3 minutes telling you whether this is a game you should be interested in, I recommend watching their video. Solid job, BrainCrack Games, really approve of it. Past that, as far as the game, 1 to 5 players, 12 plus, you can ignore that, 20 minutes per player, all of that. As far as the price tag for the game, this is where the price tag gets into that middle zone. So effectively, these games generally are available at retail, so you can check and see if you get the game at retail. It will come without the Kickstarter extras, so this is the deluxe game with all the exclusive content and whatnot, but that's going to be $63 plus shipping for this game. And over here, let's cover what we get over here. So we have in the box, we have the board, we have double-sided boards, we have the Noble Dial, which tracks the Medici, the carriage miniatures, the debutantes, the Madonnas, the gifts, the maestros, the guard meeples, the brag tokens, the brass rings, the score trackers, the pass rings, not the brass rings. You can get metal upgraded rings, you'd have to pay for them. Location tokens, time tokens, cue blockers, the first player coin, destination markers, tokens, scandal cards, scheme cards, brag cards, and solo AI cards for the game. As far as, here's a whole bunch of reasons why they think you'll like the game. Looks worth reading through those to see if this is a game for you. And then lastly, let me see if I can find the Kickstarter exclusive extras. So where do we have over here? Let's go down to stretch goals. So stretch goals, we have the organizer boxes for the game, a set of 6 printed boxes. We have UV spot finish, we have linen cards, printed score markers, Kickstarter exclusive, screen printed maestros, and then potentially keeping on going as the campaign keeps going. And with 25 days to go, we're likely to see this cross 100,000 if not higher, 100,000 pounds if not higher. That's going to be overall there. As far as should you back it, should you not, effectively the short version, let's come actually to the add-ons first because I want to show you those. The add-ons over here are going to be metal coins, the extra copies, and one of the pledge levels is getting all the extra copies if you just want to get the full trilogy. And then the metal coins over here, 14 pounds, these card sleeves are 4 pounds, and then the metal rings upgrade for another 9 pounds. So if you want a bunch of metal upgrades in your coins in your game, these will add both coins and metal rings to your game. As far as should you back it, effectively both Venice and Ragusa are games that, while they did a decent job mostly holding the value, they are ones that the Kickstarter exclusive versions of the game can be found cheaper on the aftermarket, which means effectively you can go ahead and back Florence. You can go ahead and get this game, this series, and the game does look interesting. Don't get me wrong, I'm very intrigued by it. I'm very pulled in by it, more so than I was by Ragusa, although Venice actually was pulled in by as well. I just haven't had the chance to play it yet either. But as far as whether you're likely to get your money back in the secondhand market, if judging by Venice and Ragusa, you will likely take a small hit. I imagine $63 plus the $10 or $15 shipping or whatnot. Let's see how much is shipping. I didn't pull it up. Shipping is going to run you, for Florence over here, it's going to run you around $10. So 63. You're looking at $73 for the game. If you get back 50, maybe $60 in the secondhand market, you're already doing fine on that game. They definitely do take a hit. So you're not losing everything, don't get me wrong, but it's one that you will almost certainly take a hit, which by extension also means it's one that if you're not in a rush and you want to wait till see how the market decides whether it's a good game, how the reviews are, it's one that you can also get cheaper on the secondhand market as well if you're willing to engage in, the secondhand market in general. A lot of my content talks about selling a game, secondhand market, all that, but the truth is, while that's true, while it's helpful and beneficial for a lot of you, there are a lot of you who are just as easily not really interested or caring about that and just want to hear about the game and all of the stuff related to that. So that is going to be absolutely everything. 52 minutes to go. 52 minutes, that's not bad. To cover the to back or not to back. Do not forget to head on over to Quacklop's channel over here. I'll throw a link down below as well to the specific video. You want to leave a comment about his beard. It's magnificent. It's horrible. It's scraggly. I mean, honestly, I think it's magnificent. It's really, really pleasing to look at and very well groomed. I'm very impressed with it. But whatever comments you want to leave about his beard, as long as it has the word beard in there, it'll probably do just fine. You can be witty. You can just say beard. All those things are fine. As far as next week, which I usually sometimes say a bunch of things coming up next week. Next week is going to be a little lighter in terms of not the number of games. We have a decent number of games coming up next week, but there's not going to be no ridiculously high heavy hitters are launching next week. At least none that I'm aware of right now. But if you want to be subscribed and follow on what's going on next week, make sure to check out Shelf Clutter. He puts out a video every single week telling you the Kickstarter is coming up ahead that week so that you can be informed and up to date on all of that. And until next time, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co., and I hope you have a good one. need to seriously rethink who stays in my house. It's insane. It's like no respect for privacy. Like he's just sitting right over there the whole entire video. He's just making comments and muttering and just, it's so irritating. I tell you, it's unbelievable. I like Jesse. I miss Jesse. Whatever. Okay.